What's up, everybody? Colton Sturm here. We are going to cover suspension today on this 2024 Lynx Rave RE. All right. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will continue to try to put out informational videos. Hopefully they're informational. And then also some fun ones. We got a fun one coming up in a week. My buddy Mitch and I are going to Jackson Hole. I've never been there. I've been there, but not for the hill cross races or the hill climb races. And we're not racing, but we're gonna wrangle sleds. I'm really excited for that. That's gonna be badass and I can't wait. That's next week. Right now, suspension. We're gonna cover a lot of the basics on this. In my previous video, I did touch base on the new calibration briefly. But let's dive deeper. The new shock calibration is softer on the bottom. Don't lose your shit and completely not listen to anything else after that, okay? It's actually a stiffer shock than previous years. It's much more progressive. It's softer on the bottom. It's beautiful. I personally love it. It's nice and plush down on that bottom. It's very progressive. It's much more progressive than our previous setup. It's actually, you can make it a lot stiffer, all right? It's the most adjustable shock on the market that comes factory, okay? So you can adjust this thing to whatever you want. Flip side, you can also screw it up and just start turning and clicking things, and then you make it ride like dog turds. But yeah, we're gonna dive into it. Another thing, I personally do not adjust my suspension when it's fully unloaded like this. I'm just doing this for visual effects. I don't know if it's bad for the shocks. I assume it is. Maybe it's not. But yeah, let's dive into this. Leave some comments below and I can try to answer them the best I can. I will share with you my personal setup on this machine, also on my Xterrain setup and a comfort setup in the description below. I keep all my notes on my phone. If I change something on the side of the trail, I change it in my phone that second. This is just an easy way to keep track of everything you have going on suspension wise, since it makes all the difference on how this thing handles and steers, takes on bumps and whatnot. All right, all you need is a 17 millimeter for the big nut. You need a flat head for the low speed in the rear end, good hearing in your fingers. That's it. I weigh 220 pounds without my gear, so with my gear like 235, I guess. So you can use that as a baseline. I do not respring. These are the stock springs. So for this setup, what I'm dealing with right now, the front rebound I love. I don't change it anymore. It's at 20 clicks out. And when I say 20 clicks out, that means I go clockwise until it stops and 20 clicks counterclockwise out. You do that with all of it, okay? So 20 clicks out on the front rebound. The front low speed is at 7. It maintains a pretty good plush front end, but also keeps it stiff. This is also works really well with what I have set up in the rear, which we'll cover shortly. I run 8-inch carbides from Woody's, the Mavericks, so they're really aggressive, but the sled set up to be very light with the skis, so it evens itself out. The front end has to work with the rear end, and the rear end has to work with the front end. If your sled's pushing a lot in turns, chances are it's probably your suspension, I would say, and how you have it set up, both in the front and the rear. I mean, I could screw up the rear end suspension and I can make this thing push all day if I wanted to, but we don't like that. So low speed is at clicker 7. High speed is at 0.5 turns out. I max this out and I put a little mark at the top of the nut here so it's easy to tell how many turns I'm doing. I'm at 0.5, so it's pretty stiff. That's my front end. I love it. It's pretty aggressive. Now let's move into the rear end. I run my limiter strap at 1. Okay, it's very light and playful. It likes to wheelie then. Just all around very playful sled. I played with 2, 3, and 4. 2's decent. I don't like 3 and 4. It's a little too aggressive with the front end for my suspension setup. I like to stick with 1. You guys can run whatever you want. The center shocks rebound is at 6. Both my rear shocks rebound is at 6. For a more comfortable ride, I would suggest go to 8. Being I slowed down the rebound, it makes the shock ride a little further into the stroke, which is stiffer in the stroke, so I'm actually making it stiffer. I have played with other setups I've seen online. Last year I did a video with my setup next to one that was going around Facebook, and they were setting their rebound up at like 14 or something, and it was so spooky and bucked all over the place. It just doesn't work. But if you like that, run it. It's your sled, be happy with it. Center low speed, I'm running at 10 clicks out. Again, that's nice and plush without losing a lot of stiffness. With that low speed, it handles really well. With the center high speed, I have it at 0.75. I'm going to be changing that here soon to 0.5 with springtime, with bigger jumps and whatnot, and harder compact snow, you know. I'll change that to 0.5 soon, since it is going to be, that center shock takes a pounding, man. It really does in those big holes. Moving back to the rear shock, that one, like I said before, the rebound is at 6. Just kind of makes the shock a little stiffer since I'm riding a little lower in that stroke. Low speed's at 5 on this one. I keep my rear one a little, everything's a little stiffer in the rear end, since when I tail land off jumps and stuff, that thing takes a lot of abuse. So I run that one a lot stiffer. And I don't notice that one affecting my steering too much. More of the center shock can alter my steering. And yeah, like my setup here, I can turn it really easily. It doesn't push. And it's, like I said before, it's pretty aggressive. The rear high speed is at 0.5. Like I said, it takes a beating. I keep that rear one pretty stiff. Below, I also have a comfort setting as well. You know, you don't have to run this. This is definitely a more aggressive setup for jumps, hard moguls, and just beating the snot out of this machine. Yeah, that's the setup on this. So try it out. You guys can let me know what you think. You can leave comments below, or follow me on Instagram at Colt801. I'm always checking my messages on there, and if you have any questions, reach out to me on there, and I can maybe assist you. Again, I'm not claiming to be an expert. If you guys love your setup, run it, man. Do it. If you want to try something new, give it a try. You might like it, you might not. Use my weight as a guideline. You know, if you weigh less than me, maybe don't crank it to this. I am kind of a little bit, you know, bigger boned, if you will. So I run it a little stiffer. Here comes the real shock expert, Hank. But that's just what I have found really works well for me. And also, you want to use all your suspension. So if you ever feel like you're hitting your running boards in the snow, that's fine. As long as you're not getting a hard jar in your heels, you want to use all your suspension. It's good to use all of your suspension. It's the point of suspension, right? So hopefully you guys, this helped you out if you are stuck on your suspension, or if you are thinking about trying something different. This is a good basis. A good tip, like I said, is keep them on your phone. Keep all your notes on your phone. And what are you doing back here, Hank? And keep all your notes on your phone so you can always go back to them. And it just keeps you at a good, even playing field, so you know where you're at instead of just turning and clicking and then you're lost. So yeah, notes. And yeah, play with it. I also, before we get too far ahead, or finish the video here, my sag is at 3.75. Last year I seen some guys not doing that, and they said they liked it. That's cool, fine, do it. And I also had a lot of people say that they did not like it and they went back to the 3.75. It's designed to be that way. Okay, think of a trophy truck for a second, and you see that thing sitting on the parking lot, it looks like it has no suspension. If you were to tell me what that thing's capable of doing, I'd be like, no, it has no suspension to do that. And then you see the suspension come out. It's crazy. That's what this is, in a sense. Just because you sag 3.75 inches doesn't mean you lost 3.75 inches of suspension. It's there. When it comes out, it's there. Okay. That 3.75 inches helps with your attack angle. It helps putting power to the ground, it's big. So I really suggest you run 3.75 inches of sag. It's what Lynx says. I've tried other stuff, okay? So I have tried it and I don't like it. It's not for me, it kicks too much. The 3.75 is beautiful. I love it. I've even played with 4. 4 is a little too much, but I have done it and it's not the end of the world, but I like that 3.75. So that's it. In a nutshell, that is the 2024 Lynx Rave RE in my setup that I'm running on it right now. All right, and you can run this setup too on, this is actually very much the same setup I was running on my 2023 Rave as well. All right, so it crosses over. If you have a 23 or a 22, try this out. It's not just for the 24 here, okay? It's for everything. And I also have my Xterrain below as well, which is pretty similar to this actually. But yeah, play around with it. Suspension's always fun to play with. And I'll go from one extreme to the other and then start fine tuning stuff, and it's fun to learn. It makes the whole sled do its thing. Turn, whoops, bumps, everything. Very important. Awesome guys, thank you for watching. Hopefully you guys learned something, and hopefully we get some more snow. I'm not done riding. I don't want to be done riding, and I want to ride this thing a little bit more here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you guys ordered one of these or the new Xterrain. These things are badass machines. I love this new Radian 2 platform. I love the new 1.25 inch track. A lot zippier, a lot more track spin. Goes a lot faster. I love it. I really do. So yeah, till next time, be safe out there, guys. Respect everybody else's, you know, land and stuff. Don't ride off trail where you shouldn't be. That's how we lose all of our trails, and nobody's happy then. So be safe out there, guys. Hopefully catch you out on the